Hello and welcome to Not Now in Theaters. Whether it's an underrated B-movie, a cult classic, or an underseen foreign film, this podcast is a highlight reel of movies past you might want to know more about and why. My name is Will Turntail, and I'm a writer and film fan from California. This episode travels back to 1990 for a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm old enough that I saw this one in the theater, and as a massive TMNT fan, I absolutely loved it and still do today. A live-action adaptation, it made a lot of money and had impressive puppeteering from the Jim Henson Company. Still, critical appreciation wasn't there. So this episode is going to unpack the creativity that went into this film and why it deserved more praise. A quick statement before we begin. Making films is hard, and you have to respect that. This is a fan's blog, so any criticisms are meant to be constructive. Alright, with that taken care of, let's go to the show. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 review, Jim Henson puppetry, gritty darkness, and critics still wrong. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 is beloved. Fans of the iconic half-shelled heroes swoon for it, yet the film has struggled for outsider support. With the popularity of the TMNT animated TV show, comics, and merchandising, 1.1 billion of toys sold between 1988 and 1992, you'd think film studios were locked in a guns-blazing bidding war to get the movie rights. But the failure of Canon Films' He-Man movie, Masters of the Universe, scared away distributors like Walt Disney, Columbia, 20th Century Fox, Universal, and seemingly every player in that era. It's another essay, but I'm pretty sure Masters of the Universe's failure had something to do with the wild card decisions of Canon Films, makers of movies like Over the Top or Death Wish 3, not the viability of kids' shows or comic books as film adaptations. Anyhow, halfway through production, New Line Cinema, then mostly known as the Freddy Krueger Company, came on board. And when the film cha-chinged its way to over $200 million at the box office in 1990s dollars against its $13.5 million budget, those film execs who passed must have felt that humbling. But the hurdles for Turtles didn't end there. Critical appreciation for this movie is still in the basement. Take its current Rotten Tomatoes critics score of 43% against its audience score of 81%. I want to do my part to right this critical wrongdoing. So is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 a good movie? The plot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990. New York City is in the midst of an unprecedented crime wave. News reporter April O'Neil links the thefts to a Japanese ninja clan. Her rewards for her investigative journalism? Drawing the ire of Police Chief Stearns and getting attacked by the ninja gang. Coming to her rescue? 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo, and their mutated rat master, Splinter. Also chipping in is Casey Jones, a friendly vigilante. As the new friends battle the Foot Clan, they tangle with the gang's leader, the mysterious Shredder. Meanwhile, young Danny Pennington, the son of April's boss, Charles, is caught in a crisis of conscience between joining Shredder's Foot Clan or helping Team Turtles. Okay, so getting into the cast of this movie, we have Judith Hoag, who plays April O'Neil, Raymond Serra, who plays Police Chief Stearns. The 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are played by Brian Tochi as Leonardo, Josh Pais as Raphael, Corey Feldman as Donatello, Robbie Rist as Michelangelo, Kevin Clash as Splinter. Elias Koteas plays Casey Jones, the friendly vigilante. James Saito plays the Shredder. Danny Pennington is played by Michael Turney, and April's boss Charles is played by Jay Patterson. And a fun fact about the cast, I never realized the head thug of the Foot Clan, the guy that cynically gives out cigarettes and tells newbies to do whatever the hell they want, is played by the venerable Sam Rockwell in one of his early performances. You can read the rest of the main cast in the transcript. You should note that there are separate voice actors and performers for many of the characters in the movie. So even though I've listed out the voice actors, it's kind of cool to see how many people are involved in actually bringing some of these characters to life. And if you'd like to pause here to watch the movie's trailer, you can do it with the YouTube link here in the transcript over on Rotten Tomatoes Classic Trailers on YouTube. But please note, the final film has improved voice acting over the trailer. I'm not sure what happened, but I think they put in some kind of placeholder and then switched it out with the actual voice actors for some of the characters once the film was released. Okay, so now that you understand the plot, let's get into what's good and not quite as good about this movie. I'll dish out some points for what I liked and deduct for what I didn't think worked as well, and we'll total it up at the end. Good thing number 1, a little portrait of crime in New York, plus 1 point. The film begins with a crisp, cinematic expositional sequence. We open on the hustle and bustle of New York streets as April O'Neil, in voiceover, reports on the recent crime wave. And with that brooding, page-turning sound of the theme known as Shredder's Suite from the soundtrack, we watch the trail of a pickpocketed wallet pass through a ring of mysterious hands. A truck of goods is liquidated in seconds, and a television is lifted practically right in front of a citizen's eyes. When I watched this in theaters as a child, I was blown away by the quickness of the cuts and the sleekness of the Foot Clan's crime operation. Seeing it back now, I still am. Due to copyrights, I couldn't link to a clip of this in the transcript, but I bet you could search for it on YouTube to see this opening of the movie for yourself. Good thing number 2, grainy tone that borrows this, invents that, plus 2 points. Despite the popularity of the campy children's show and the PG rating of the film, the movie's tone is closer to the original gritty comics, though they eased up on the violence that was in those. The sewers are dark, Shredder's hideout is run down, and the nighttime streets of New York City look like Tim Burton's Gotham City from Batman '89. When we visit Shredder's hangout, there are young kids up to some serious no-good behavior parents must have gawked at, including smoking and drinking lots of cola. Though you wonder why Shredder wouldn't have his ninja's diets locked down for performance. And Raphael even drops "damn" a few times. Still, there's a blend here. Silly bits from the TV show, like the love of pizza and phrases like tubular, are alive and well. And the Turtles' colored headbands made it in, though that feels a practical choice to actually tell them apart. The tone is an excellent marriage for fans on the comics or TV show sides of the aisle. Good thing number 3, far from simple Muppets, plus 8 points. Forget the script, tonal decisions, and casting. If the Turtles came out looking like garbage, the kids and comic book nerds would have slain the movie dead at the sight of its trailer. Luckily, the Turtles are old-fashioned magic. With their physical depth, full range of motion, and details like spots and wrinkles, they're still bang on 30-plus years later. Even in close-ups or during a fight scene, they keep the illusion. The turtle effects were a triangle team. First, there was a performer inside the turtle body made from foam rubber latex. Second, a technician and computer using animatronics would operate the facial expressions. Third, a voice actor would record the lines. At the time, Jim Henson called the molds and animatronics the most state-of-the-art products he'd worked with. The tech was so advanced that the computer could transfer a recording of human lip movements when pronouncing words and emulate those movements in the lips of the animatronic turtle mask. Not bad for approximately 1990. It's not all flawless, though. There is this gaffe where you can see the human performer's mouth inside a laughing Donatello. If you click here at this point in the transcript, you can see a photo of it. There is not enough mind soap to wash that image away. I highly encourage anyone to go check that out because it's pretty terrifying. And there was suffering for this art. The performers lost pounds each day playing the Turtles due to the extreme heat inside the suits. And one version of the suit weighed 70 pounds. You won't find TMNT 1990 listed along with creature effects masterclasses like Predator or Terminator, but they deserve their praise. Good thing number 4, full characters and story, plus 4 points. The film is well-paced and balanced, with 2 large action sequences and several skirmishes. And giving the writing is sharp and professional, giving characters dynamics and little setups and payoffs. Take young Danny, a teen who clashes with his father and seeks refuge in the Foot Clan. Danny is this little bee who connects all the characters. You wonder if the writers Todd W. Langen and Bobby Herbeck created him out of plot necessity. A continuity plug, Danny leads the Shredder to the Turtles for the initial confrontation. He leads the Turtles / Casey Jones to the Shredder for the end confrontation. As a minor character who glues the plot together, Danny could have been a throwaway or just annoying. Instead, he's actually rounded. All movie long, he's a confused, angsty teen waffling on what to do. At film's end, he returns April the money he stole from her, completing his decision to give up on ninja thug life. And the film has winning camaraderie among the characters. Donatello and Michelangelo gravitate toward one another's playful spirit. Leo and Raph bicker because they're the serious crew. As a kid, I didn't like Raph. He was by far my least favorite because he's a sour drag. But as an adult, you recognize he's the most compelling Ninja Turtle. And he's the only one who gets a side quest, leaving the sewer in a huff and bumping into Casey Jones. The later portion of Act 2, when the heroes regroup at April's farm, was the dragging part of the movie when I was a kid and probably led to the fast forward button on my VCR remote. But the sequence efficiently fills everything out before we get into Act 3. Raph heals, the Turtles conquer the ninja spirit of the mind, and they commit to rescuing Splinter. Their return to New York City is dramatic and full of anticipation for the final act. Call it a kid's flick, but it's all stuff adult movies would do. And back in 1990, that was novel. You can watch a clip here in the transcript of the Turtles coming together at the farm sequence on YouTube over at Rotten Tomatoes Movie Clips. Good thing number 5, fight scenes, plus 2 points. The action sequences are damn good for overheating stunt performers in costumes. And like the tone, they combine harrowing adult danger with childlike silliness. There's the fire in April's apartment, upping the stakes to a desperate escape. The desperate portion of that Shredder suite ripping through, it's absolutely beautiful. And there's Shredder's real threat to kill Leonardo in the end conflict when he's got the tortoise under spear. Yet Donatello is delighted rather than alarmed when foot soldiers dunk his head in a fish tank. Instead of drowning, he rises and spits water at them, and Michelangelo sets aside his nunchucks to dispatch foes with cymbals, tiptoeing around the battlefield making a joke. It's a mix of actual martial arts and unrealistic turtle tactics that fit. You can watch a YouTube clip of a fight sequence with the link in this spot in the transcript over at Rotten Tomatoes Movie Clips on YouTube. Good thing number 6, voice acting, plus 1 point. Corey Feldman's Donatello is the forever bar other Donatellos will be forced to bow to. Something about his voice and the wiggling of that puppet's mouth is a total universe-syncing moment. The rest of the cast also has a pitch that fits their personalities. Josh Pace nails Raph's sass, Brian Tochi hits Leo's leader tones, and Robbie Rist bursts with Mikey's charm. Alright, so let's get into the stuff that I didn't think worked as well. Not as good thing number 1, finishing moves, minus 1 point. Spoiler alerts here. The end fight with Shredder lives up to the billing. As a child in the theater, I felt the ante totally upped when Shredder plopped down from nowhere onto the roof, badass spear in hand. The tension in, once again, that Shredder's suite from the soundtrack, as he very well could kill my heroes, kept me in peril. The only problem is the anticlimax. Splinter gets the better of Shredder in essentially one move. It struck me funny as a child and still bothers. But it's tough to ping that as a negative. I doubt the crew could do much combat with that Splinter puppet. But the way Casey Jones defeats Shredder's main crony, Master Tatsu, is also weak. Casey gets his ass handed to him until he lands on a golf club to KO Tatsu with. It's true to Casey's character, but I wish for something more clever. You can watch a clip of the fight with Shredder on YouTube with the link here in the transcript, once again on Rotten Tomatoes Movie Clips over at YouTube. Not as good thing number 2, vigilante depth, minus 1 point. Casey Jones is well played by Elias Koteris, but the character could use more dev. You feel 1 or 2 of his scenes were cut from the film, possibly at the farm. The movie shows just a minute or 2 of him and April together to set up the Taming of the Shrew-style romance that is brewing for later. He briefly mentions his hockey career, but I'm curious to know why exactly someone decides to go vigilante all over the city, and I don't think we get it. You can watch a clip of Raphael and Casey fighting each other on YouTube with the link here in the transcript, again on Rotten Tomatoes Movie Clips over at YouTube. So adding it all up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 gets 16 arbitrary points. On my scale of go watch, should I watch, or let's not watch this movie, I'm going to award it my go watch rating. As a kid, I saw this movie in theaters and dressed like the main characters for Halloween. The nostalgia deck is stacked for me to like this one. Still, as an adult, there are so many creative things about this film that you can appreciate that you couldn't in your youth. So I think the praise is merited. Art is a matter of both opinion and execution. You can dislike something well made while still acknowledging its craft. For that reason, critics are wrong about TMNT 1990. You don't have to be a turtlehead, you don't have to like it, but I'll defend the creativity of this film and its whopping technical achievement of puppetry any day. And with a solid script, fun voice acting, clever fight scenes, and that dark, gritty tone, it's an excellent entry into the TMNT universe. It banked its box office dollars, now let's give it its critical due. Okay, so what would you say is the legacy of TMNT 1990? Well, as many listeners might know, the film was followed by 2 live-action sequels. The first, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, marked the return of the Shredder and explored the origins of the half-shelled heroes. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 saw the team travel back in time to Japan. Though I enjoyed Part 2 the most as a child, as an adult you realize the original is tonally the strongest and by far the best script. But both sequels were successful, at least in terms of making money. There have been, of course, reboots of this franchise since that time, both in terms of films and animated series. Director Steve Barron, who I didn't touch on yet, was mostly known for music videos prior to TMNT 1990. And I mean really known. He directed music videos for everyone from Fleetwood Mac and Madonna to Paul McCartney and David Bowie. His most famous music videos for me might be a-ha's iconic Take On Me or Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. Barron worked as a cameraman on films like Ridley Scott's The Duelists, war movie classic A Bridge Too Far, and Richard Donner's Superman. But this was his first directed feature film. And since it became, at that time, the highest-grossing independent film, it led him to landing some other movies. But other than 1993's Coneheads, I don't recognize these works and can't speak to them positively or negatively. Sadly, the legendary Jim Henson died a few months after the movie's release at just the age of 53. The film is one of the last projects he worked on, and its impressive feats add to the master of puppetry and animatronics' legacy. The Turtles' voice actors, Corey Feldman, who was Donatello, Robbie Rist, who was Michelangelo, Brian Tocci, who was Leonardo, or Josh Pais, who was Raphael, have continued their association with the franchise over the years. Some of them have reprised their roles in sequels, video games, or animated series, and definitely found love and appreciation at fan conventions. And then there's Kevin Clash, who voiced and performed motion capture work for Splinter. He would use his impressive puppeteering here as part of landing the part of Elmo from Sesame Street. As far as the film goes, for me and many fans, it is the original bar all Turtles movies to come are judged by. It's the dark one that TMNT co-creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird have both given high praise to. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to my thoughts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990, directed by Steve Barron. If you like this episode, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Reviews really go a long way for channels like ours. If you've got a comment or a question, you can search for Not Now in Theaters on our Blue Sky page at not-ni-theaters.bsky.social. And for more articles or podcasts, you can head over to willturntail.com. This podcast episode is a production copyright of Overegged Media, LLC, located in Sacramento, California. Reference photos linked in the transcript are copyrighted by the Internet Movie Database. This review's factual information was gathered through online sources like Wikipedia, IMDb, or interviews. Misrepresentations and errors by me are totally possible, but of course unintentional. Introduction music, Neon Laser Horizon by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. Exit music, Canon in D for 8-bit synths by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. Additional music, Newer Wave by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. Goodbye for now.